Thank you, Dr. Carson. And last but not least, Dr. Ritchie, would you make some brief comments before we open it up to the floor?
Well, thank you kindly. I've actually taken more of your time than I really probably should have, so I don't want to take any more than I can. But let me just say that it's been a really interesting experience, quotes, coming home, to sort of see a process where the people that I grew up with all my life are really thinking about the future of their communities after going absent for 25 years to out west, where it's different but similar. I mean, the country is the country, and we really are Canadians. It's amazing how we are similar right from coast to coast. But the one, I was looking through the process that's going on here, and what have I been involved in that might have some value to what you're doing. And the one experience that has been, I think, most similar and most relevant to what you're doing here is I was a member of the federal government Banff Valley Task Force a number of years ago, and in fact the report was deposited in 1996. But that was a major effort by the community surrounding Banff National Park, and it was interesting that primarily Calgarians, who are the people who are at the doorstep of Banff National Park and who use it like their playground, really purported to speak for all Canadians. And that was one thing as a member of the task force that bothered me, because here was a relatively small group purporting to speak for all Canadians, and they had very different interests, because someone who's coming on their annual vacation, the only time in their life they'll come from Nova Scotia or Newfoundland or one of the other provinces, and will be their only time they may spend a couple of weeks in Banff National Park. They are looking for a very different kind of experience from a tourism perspective than the residents who live right next to the park and who are using it almost on a daily or weekly basis. So the planning process, it was a 2-year major effort to try and to develop a vision for what the future of Banff National Park as the icon of the national parks in the country, at least that's what they think about there anyway, should look like. And so you had, it was again an interesting experience. You have a community, a very solid community that believes very much in national parks, but actually living in the national parks. And so many things happened that were strange that I don't know that you would find. I look at Kingston now, in Eastern Ontario, what you are trying to do from a planning process of tourism and the different kind of product and experience that you have. And out there, it was almost the people of the park surrounded by a cadre of very dedicated Parks Canada staff people who really were concerned about protecting the park, where from the tourism side, and I had a very tough time dealing with or trying to work with the environmental side of things, because I certainly didn't want to destroy the park, but I did feel that every Canadian had a right to visit and experience this national icon park, and it wasn't just to be a sort of a playground for the people who live there or who live next to the park. And so living that kind of experience where the government was spending so much money getting input from only the residents, they didn't consult people from Nova Scotia or Manitoba or BC. It just didn't do the process the way I felt maybe it should have been done at the time, but I didn't set the parameters. So I really tried to make that case that it should be a national, and the other thing is that we should involve the tourism industry more, and yet the industry, they didn't want to get involved, and I criticized my tourism colleagues because they didn't see the importance of this process. Now, I don't want to natter on too long, but I just did say that it's interesting to come home and see this kind of experience for a place like Kingston, which I don't think a lot of people are going to come, from all around the world to visit Kingston, except if they have some real. I mean, you do not have the kinds of product that some other places have, unless you really do something innovative in terms of experiences, events, or activities. You have to do something unique. But keeping in mind at the same time, though, that every destination is not necessarily a tourism destination. You have to think very carefully, is tourism really going to enhance our well-being, or is it just going to be a ring around our neck that doesn't really do much for us? So take a hard look at what you can do, and tourism can be powerful, but it's not for everybody unless it suits your purposes and enhances your well-being. So I think I'll stop there because I really haven't the time to really think beyond. I wasn't involved in your process, and I don't want to insult you by saying any more.